on the Padres Radio Network.
Yeah, Machado laces it in the air to deep left. This one gonna go!
Coming up, we'll recap the last Padres game, preview today's starting pitching matchup, give you our keys to the game. Plus, we'll hear from manager Craig Stammen. From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network, as today the Padres take on the Cleveland Guardians in the first game of a 3-game series. Our starting pitching matchup today for the Guardians, right-hander Gavin Williams, and for the Padres, right-hander Michael King. Hi again, everybody. Sam Levitt with you from inside our San Diego studios. First pitch coming up at 4:10 p.m. here on the West Coast as the Padres begin a 6-game road trip. Coming up in the next 50 minutes, we have a lot to do. You'll hear from Padre manager Craig Stammen. I go one-on-one with today's starting pitcher, Michael King. We'll hear from Jesse Agler from inside the Padres radio booth in just a little bit, and much, much more. But first, it's time to set the table, brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971 with 3 locations, La Mesa Vista and Oceanside, and at FraserFarmsMarket.com. Padres enter today 65-57. They begin the day sitting all alone in the National League's second wildcard spot. Padres have won 5 in a row, 15 of their last 19 games. That 15-4 record since July 24th is the second best record in baseball during that span. Guardians, meanwhile, not playing great. They've lost 4 straight series. They just dropped 2 out of 3 to the Tigers. They begin today 59-63. However, even though they're just 5-15 in their last 20 games, they're still just a game and a half out of the American League postseason picture. Well, we had one of our games of the year Wednesday afternoon at Petco Park. Let's quickly rewind.
Did you miss what happened in the last Padres game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind on the Padres Radio Network.
Wednesday afternoon, Padres looking for a 3-game sweep of the Brewers. Top 2, Robbie Ray on the mound for San Diego. Gary Sanchez at the plate for Milwaukee.
Here's Gary Sanchez. He swings at the first pitch, hammers it to left field, way back and gone. Just under the first balcony of the Western Metal Building. And Gary Sanchez, who loved to hit home runs in the Padre uniform, hits one here, his 10th of the season, and the Brewers go up 1-0 in the second.
Padres trail 2-0 going bottom 3. Xander Bogaerts put the Padres on the board.
And Xander gets a hanging breaking ball, hits it in the air, deep to left field, way back, and gone. A home run. Xander Bogaerts gets loose, his 10th of the year, and the Pods are on the board. It's 2-1 here in the third.
The score would stay 2-1 for a while. Dustin May pitched into the 8th inning for Milwaukee. Padres still down 2-1 in that inning. Brewers bullpen took over. Padres had runners on first and second, 2 men away. Jake Cronenworth at the plate.
Here is pitch 9 to Cronenworth, and Jake swings, bounces it to first. Bowers off the line, has it, race to the bag, not in time. Fernando coming home, he'll score. The game is tied. Tatis never stopped running, and Bowers, the first baseman, couldn't beat Cronenworth to first. By the time he looked home, Fernando was there. There will be no challenge. It's 2-2.
We still had a 2-2 game going to the 11th inning. Gary Sanchez led off the frame.
Arjona will deliver, and this pitch hit hard and fair up the third baseline. That's going to roll into the left field corner. They're going to score easily as Rengifo digs it out, sends it in. And how about Gary Sanchez? An RBI double here in the 11th as the Brewers go back ahead. It's 3-2.
Padres trailing 3-2, going bottom 11. They had runners on first and third for Jackson Merrill.
Jackson swings, lines it to right field. Lara going back, still going back, jumps up, makes the catch. Cronenworth will tag and score to tie it, but Lara with a great play in right to force Song back to first base. Either way, 3-3 here in the 11th.
Later in the inning, Sungmoon Song stole second base. That put him in scoring position for Luis Campusano.
Luis swings, lines it into right field, a base hit. Lara charging, has the great arm. Here's the throw to the plate. Sanchez is tagged. He's safe. Padres walk it off. Sanchez had to put the tag down on a throw that was slightly high. And Song got underneath the tag as Luis Campusano wins it. And in 11, the Padres complete the sweep 4-3.
Crazy game. Great win. Padres winning a fifth in a row, sweeping the team that came into the series with the best record in all of baseball. And now the Padres take the show on the road as they begin this 3-game series in Cleveland. Let's go out to Ohio.
Let's take a trip up to the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup with Jesse Agler in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
Well, Jesse, before today's game, Craig Stammen was talking about how the Guardians, even though they don't have a similar record to the Brewers, they do play a similar type of game to the Milwaukee Brewers. Guardians certainly in an interesting spot. They're 4 games below 500, but they're very much in the mix as far as the postseason race in the American League. Your feel on the Guards as the Padres begin this 3-game series in Cleveland?
Yeah, the American League is so weird. We talked about it when the Astros were in town last week. I don't know what to make of it. And as weird as the AL West is, we talked about that with Houston. The Central, obviously, even weirder. The White Sox obviously are a great story this year. They're above 500. They're in first place. The Tigers were left for dead not that long ago, right? Just maybe, 6-8 weeks ago, you figured the Tigers were done. Detroit all of a sudden is in playoff position despite having traded away 40%. And by the way, the best 40% of their starting rotation. Thank you very much for Casey Mize. And now all of a sudden they're right back in the thick of the thing. The Guardians, they're 59-63, but they're a game and a half out of playoff position in the American League. So the AL is very weak this year. Tampa Bay certainly looks formidable. We haven't seen them yet. We'll head down there in a couple of weeks. Very, very curious to kind of get our eyes on them and get a sense of what they really are all about. But just talking to some of the Cleveland people before the game today, they're not impressed with the American League this year. But back to the Guardians in particular, you're right. They do play kind of a similar brand of baseball as the Brewers. A bunch of little guys that can slap it around. They run the bases aggressively. They can, probably hit some more home runs than the Brewers can, but they're going to put pressure on your defense. They're going to run. They're going to put the ball in play, certainly. And you gotta be ready for anything when you're playing this team.
Taking a look at our starting pitching matchup today, this is a good one. Michael King is really starting to throw the ball well. It feels like he's really starting to find it as we get into this final 40-game stretch of the regular season. But the guy on the other side on the mound for the Guardians today, Jesse, Gavin Williams, big right-hander who has had a really, really good year. A little bit of pressure on Michael King tonight to match Williams if Williams is pitching well.
Yeah, two guys that go about it a little bit differently. Michael, we know what he's about, and I like this matchup a lot tonight for Michael King if he's able to do what he's normally able to do. But Gavin Williams has turned into one of the premier strikeout artists in the American League. We saw him a couple of years ago when we were here. I think it was the game really that kind of got the 2024 Padres going, the second game of the series after the All-Star break. Pods got to him, nicely, won that game 7-0, really never looked back the rest of that regular season. But yeah, he's really, now developed into a dude. He was the ace of their staff last year. And, he had some walk problems last year. He's gotten past that. So, he's really kind of just matured into a top of the rotation kind of guy. He's pitched really, really well here at home this year. And he's a legitimate strikeout guy. Now, what makes that fun is Padre offense this year has done an incredible job of avoiding the strikeout.
Yeah.
Very, very rarely this season, if we'd look down and, the Pods have struck out double-digit times, which is so rare in today's day and age to have a team that avoids the strikeout the way they do. But that'll really be put to the test tonight. This guy gets a ton of chase. He gets a ton of swing and miss. So I'm kind of looking forward to it because it's one of those, strength versus strength things.
Jesse, finishing up here, Luis Campusano, what a moment for Luis on Wednesday, the walk-off hit. He offensively and defensively really has been so good this year. We've talked about all the good stories on this team, Ty France being one. You can go on and on and on about the good stories on the 2026 Padres. But what Luis Campusano has done this year, considering what went on last year, it's right up there towards the top. This has been really fun to watch.
No doubt about it. I love that you brought it up. And, what a sort of start and stop career that he's had. He's never, really gotten the opportunity to do what he's doing now, which is to just be free and go play. And I know the injuries, have kind of slowed him at times this season. That's bad luck, but even that hasn't really stopped his momentum. Maybe it stopped him from being able to go out on the field for a few weeks here and there, but it's not stopped him from being able to be himself. And you're absolutely right. When you're talking about the great stories of 2026, and maybe beyond that, even the important stories from the Padre perspective of 2026, I mean, Luis Campusano is right at the top of that list because, he's a guy that's a very big part of the future, I would think, of the Padres. And for him to be able to put it all together this year has been huge for this team. It's been huge for his development. And it's been really a thing that has brought, I think, great joy to a lot of people in this organization because finally this year in spring training, he had a manager who said to him, hey, you're going to be on the team. Don't worry about trying to make the team in spring training. Don't worry about what anybody thinks. Just go play baseball. You're here. You're good. You're fine. And he did that. And I think, kind of the results have spoken for themselves. And then to kind of, cap it off the other day with the walk-off hit, obviously is a great individual moment for him as well.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been a big part of this team. Big hit on Wednesday. We'll see if the Padres can keep it rolling. Jesse, appreciate the time. We'll talk to you and Tony coming up at 4 p.m. here on the West Coast. Thanks so much.
You got it, Sam. Thank you.
All right, Jesse Agler joining us on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on the Padres Radio Network as we get ready for today's game with first pitch again coming up at 4:10. Padres beginning this 3-game series in Cleveland, a 6-game road trip to Cleveland and then to New York to take on the New York Mets next week. When we come back, we'll hear from Padre manager Craig Stammen. A little bit later, I go one-on-one with today's starting pitcher, Michael King. Much more to do. First pitch coming up in Cleveland at 4:10 right here on the Padres Radio Network. EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres radio network. Yeah, sing a song. How about Sung Moon's song, scoring the game-winning run for the Padres on Wednesday in Milwaukee, propelling the Padres to a 5th consecutive win. Padres trying to keep it rolling as they take on the Cleveland Guardians in the opening game of this 3-game series. Sam Levitt back with you here inside our San Diego studios on the Padres radio network. Take a look at the Padres lineup here today. Looks like this. Fernando Tatis Jr. in right field leading off. Jake Cronenworth at second base batting second. Manny Machado at third base batting third. Ty France in the cleanup spot. Playing first base, Jackson Merrill in center batting fifth. Luis Campusano, who hit the walk-off single on Wednesday, doing the catching batting sixth. Gavin Sheets, the DH, batting seventh. Xander Bogaerts at shortstop batting eighth. And Luis Rengifo in left field today and batting ninth, with Michael King on the mound for San Diego. Tall right-hander Gavin Williams, very good right-hander Gavin Williams on the mound for Cleveland. As we get ready for this one, let's go to Progressive Field in Cleveland, Ohio, and hear from the Padre manager.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres skipper Craig Stammen. Served up by Sinley Food. If you've had better chicken, you must be a rooster.
Maybe coming back from the day off, you guys just come off a really exciting homestand, great series against the Brewers. So anything that you guys need to be reminded of, hey, we still got work to do here with the first day back after the day off?
Yeah, I think the team that we're playing today in this series is a very similar team to the Brewers. They just don't have the same record, but they play baseball the same way, and they've been very successful the past few years and have figured out a way to be really good at the end of the season too. So we got our work cut out for us this series also.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. It was sort of similar to the Brewers in terms of they do a lot of little things, put the pressure on you, hit the balls in play, solid defense, it sounds like. But as you said before, you guys do the same thing, so maybe putting the pressure back on them also.
Yeah, hopefully, the way we've been playing here lately, we have put more pressure on the opponent. We forced them to beat us in a different way. But we go play our baseball game the way we know how to play, do the little things, the results will take care of itself.
Is Michael King ever satisfied with one of his outings? Because he's threw the ball great in the last one, and still is always something not quite happy with. He's a perfectionist.
Yeah, perfection is a tough thing to achieve. And, there's only been so many perfect games in the in the major league. Yeah. So he's always chasing excellence. That's what's great about him. That's what makes him good.
It seemed like the glove side, as you see, was exceptional for him in the last outing. How valuable a tool is that for him when he's able to establish that side of play, both the righty and the lefty, especially?
Yeah, definitely just another weapon that he has. He's got great off-speed pitches, but he's got to remember he's also got 2 great fastballs too. And those fastballs can be thrown to all different locations. You can turn them into more than just 2 pitches with that. I think he showed that his last outing.
You kind of swapped the Rengifo part. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I've been doing that whenever we face a right-handed pitcher, putting Crony up there, and then a left-handed pitcher, I've been putting Rengifo up.
All the way down at 9? That's my
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I think I had Rengifo there in the 6 hole there for a little bit. Campy's kind of been, doing that too. I like Campy there. So just mixing them around, seeing what lineup,
No special reason that Rengifo would be at 9, like second lead on.
Yeah, I mean, you could the way he's been kind of igniting a little bit of the offensive stuff, that's probably a reason. But I like Campy, the way he's been hitting with runners in scoring position. His 2-strike approach has been really well. And he's hitting over 300, and he's one of our top OPS guys. So more bats we can get him with runners in scoring position, the better.
Craig, do you have any injury updates as we start this series?
Joe Musgrove's throwing his rehab start tonight, so that's probably the biggest one of all.
Jason's on the trip, so that's kind of a good sign.
Yeah, that's a great sign. That Jason's on the trip, that means he's getting closer to being able to throw an actual baseball out on the field, which you guys will find out when he does that. But I think him being here means that we need to have eyes on him, and he's getting closer to making the next step in the rehab process.
If the answer is no, you can just say no. Is there anything new, like a plan that you put out?
No, nothing really new. He threw a bullpen yesterday, so he's continuing to throw off the mound at all status going forward. But there's no date for another rehab game.
Joe, it's 65 or 70 pitches maybe this outing. Is that kind of what the target?
Yeah, we'll see. How how he feels today. You know, we're not with him exactly, so we've got one of our guys, Scott Hacker, with him. He'll kind of determine that, you know, going into the game, and then how the game progresses will also be a determinant of that.
That was Padres manager Craig Stammen earlier today inside the Padres dugout. We'll hear more from Craig on our post-game coverage coming up later on this evening. Sam Levitt back with you inside our San Diego studios as we get ready for first pitch coming your way at 4:10 in Cleveland. Let's tell you who's hot, who's not.
Which player is locked in at the dish? Who needs to step up their game? This is Who's Hot, Who's Not. Presented by ASAP Drain Guys and Plumbing, a division of Anderson Commercial, your full-service plumber serving San Diego County.
Well, Jackson Merrill certainly en fuego right now. He's reached safely in 17 of the past 18 games, hitting .380 with 5 home runs, 15 runs scored, 18 RBIs during that stretch. Merrill has an extra base hit in 6 straight games and an RBI in 7 consecutive games. The only Padre aged 23 or younger to ever have a longer RBI streak, that was Carmelo Martinez, who had 8 straight games with an RBI in 1984. So today, Jackson Merrill has a chance to match Martinez. Again, an RBI for Jackson in 7 straight games. Another guy in the hot category today, Ty France, who's batting .354 with 12 extra base hits, 18 RBIs since the All-Star break. France has 14 multi-hit games in that span, which is the most across the majors since the All-Star break. And that's one of those things where if you've been following Ty France and the Padres all year, or especially since the All-Star break, does feel like every night he's got a couple of hits. No matter what, well, the numbers bear it out. Again, 14 multi-hit games since the break, the most in the major leagues in that span. Luis Campusano, the big walk-off hit in the bottom half of the 11th inning on Wednesday. He's hitting .395 in his last 38 at-bats. In the not category, we put Manny Machado in there today. Manny is hitting just .217 with no extra base hits in his last 8 games. And that's a look at who's hot, who's not, as we get ready for this series opener in Cleveland. Now let's take a look at some Major League headlines as we go around the horn.
Let's examine the most important news and the latest information you need to know in the world of Major League Baseball. Sam Levitt takes you around the horn. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Get ready for Major League winning when you join Valley View Casino and Hotel's Players Club and receive over $200 in free instant offers. Visit valleyviewcasino.com to learn more today.
Well, the Brewers' Bryce Terang did not have a very good series in San Diego earlier this week, and maybe it's because he's dealing with an injury. Brewers manager Pat Murphy saying earlier today that an MRI on Terang's left knee didn't reveal anything serious, but he'll get a second opinion on the imaging to make sure Terang dealing with a left knee issue. Well, Edwin Diaz has not been very good for the Dodgers as their closer this season. Diaz, again, on Thursday inherited a 2-run lead in the 9th inning against the Brewers, and the Dodgers ultimately lost the game 5-4. The second to last of those, Diaz, I should say, now has an ERA really up there. He has not been very good with the Dodgers, but in spite of that, the Dodgers planning to stick with Diaz as their closer. Really the main headline of the story there. They're planning to stick with Edwin Diaz despite him not being very good as a Dodger so far. Rangers' Jacob deGrom left yesterday's start against the Angels after 2 innings because of a right tricep issue. He will undergo an MRI. Actually was supposed to undergo that MRI today. And finally, Cardinals have announced they are calling up top outfield prospect Joshua Baez, who will make his major league debut on Saturday at Wrigley Field against the Chicago Cubs. He is the number 59 overall prospect in the game, according to MLB.com. And that is a quick look at some of the headlines from around the major leagues. We'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard coming your way in just a little bit. When we come back, we have our keys to today's game. We'll also hear my conversation with Michael King. I went one-on-one with Michael before today's start to open up this road trip in Cleveland. First pitch coming up at 4:10 p.m. at Progressive Field in Cleveland. Padres trying to make it a 6th win in a row and keep the vibes high in the Midwest. We continue after this. There's really nothing in the world that puts me in a better mood on a Friday than a little Spice Girls to bring us back in as we welcome you back to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. As always, our pregame coverage brought to you by EcoWater SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. Visit EcoWaterSoCal.com or call 760-350-3338. That's 760-350-3338. I go one-on-one with today's starting pitcher, Michael King, in just a little bit, so stay tuned for that. We'll also have our keys to today's game coming your way in a bit, but right now, let's take a look at today's injury report.
Who's in? Who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit them up 24/7 at BadaFulkerson.com.
Well, the two most significant updates on the Padres side of things, Joe Musgrove making another rehab start tonight for AAA El Paso against Salt Lake in El Paso. So that is good news. Joe has said all the right things last couple of weeks. These rehab starts have seemingly gone very, very well. Joe Musgrove continuing this process, a rehab start today for AAA El Paso. And once that game gets going, we'll talk more about it on the postgame later on tonight. But all the best to Joe as he takes on another rehab start at AAA today. Kevin Acee in the San Diego Union Tribune earlier today reporting that Padre reliever Jason Adam, who has been on the IL for a while with that strained right shoulder, he began throwing weighted balls against a wall earlier this week. He is expected to play catch next week, and the Padres are hopeful that Adam will return around the first half of September. We heard Craig Stammen talk about this a little bit earlier, just to continue our updates on both Musgrove and Pivetta. Pivetta did throw a bullpen yesterday. Nick Pivetta does continue to throw off the mound, but right now there is no date for a rehab start to get him going in that process again. So we'll continue to pass along the news on Nick Pivetta as it comes. What I can tell you right now is he is throwing bullpens, is throwing off a mound, but no date yet set for what would be his return to a rehab outing schedule. And that is a quick update on Joe, on Jason Adam, and on Nick Pivetta. Padres playing an early game today, Eastern time zone. Let's take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
And by the way, for those of you yelling at your radio saying, wait, Sam, Cleveland, that's the Midwest. They got to be Central Time, right? No. Cleveland is in the Eastern Time Zone. Right now, it's 6:40 there. Game time local, 7:10. No, I'm right. You're wrong. Anyway, full look at the out-of-town scoreboard. Marlins and the Reds already underway in Cincinnati. They're in the top of the third there, no score. The Red Sox and the Pirates about to get underway in Pittsburgh. Same for the White Sox and Tigers in Detroit. Same for the Nationals and Mets in New York. We do have one final today. The Cubs beat the Cardinals at Wrigley earlier today. Seiya Suzuki providing all the offense in that game, a 3-run home run in the bottom half of the sixth inning. Clay Holmes, who the Cubs acquired at the deadline, he threw 6 2/3 scoreless innings, gave up just one hit for the win. Other games coming up later. Orioles and the Rays in Tampa Bay. D-backs and the Braves in Atlanta. Good pitching matchup there. Brandon Pfaadt against Chris Sale. Yankees and the Blue Jays in Toronto. Garrett Cole against Shane Bieber. The pitching matchup there. Mariners and the Astros in Houston. Royals and the Angels in Anaheim later on this evening. Rangers and the A's in Sacramento. Brewers and Dodgers in L.A. Yoshinobu Yamamoto on the mound for L.A. and the Rockies and the Giants going at it in San Francisco later on this evening. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard. I promise you we'll have much more on all those games coming up a little bit later during our post-game coverage. Well, Michael King, very, very good against the Houston Astros last week. Went 6 innings, 1 run given up, and King has been really, really solid this year. Make no mistake about it. 3.37 ERA in 24 starts, 136 plus innings. But if you've heard Michael King talk about himself, talk about his outings this season, you do get the sense, and you can tell, and we've talked about it plenty on our coverage here on the Padres Radio Network, that it seems like Michael has sort of gutted his way through a lot of outings and given you plenty of quality starts, but has not been the prime version of Michael King on a lot of nights this season. Always felt like, and he talked about it as well, that he was still sort of searching for the A-plus stuff and command. I caught up with Michael King before today's start in Cleveland. Have a listen. Sam Levitt on the Padres Radio Network as we get ready for today's game. And right now I'm joined by Padres starting pitcher Michael King. Well, Michael, you put together a really nice outing against the Astros the other day. How do you reflect on what you did against Houston?
Yeah, I felt like the sinker was very good, command-wise and movement-wise. Obviously a very right-handed heavy lineup, so needed that one going into it and had it. So was able to keep him off balance by locating the fastball and then being able to expand with off speed. It was good.
Michael, based on what you've said throughout the season after your starts, it seems like all year you've sort of been searching for that A-plus version of yourself. As we come down the home stretch here, how do you feel about where you're at right now?
Definitely trending in the right direction. Yeah, I went through say like May, June, where I was really searching for different feels that I hadn't felt in spring training or April, but still had decent numbers, and knew that it was going to kind of regress. So Ruben and I were working a ton mechanically to get that feel back, get the command back. I felt the velo ticked up as we started to make the correct adjustments, and now it's just like really getting the command of the stuff that I have.
Michael, when you say feel, is that the way the ball's coming out of your hand, or is that a pitch shape? What exactly does that mean when you say you're looking for a certain feel?
Yeah, it's honestly all of the above. Yeah. There's a definite feeling of power, aggression, timing that all makes a throw feel very good. And I think that in April I was clicking it correctly to be able to get pitches in locations that I wanted to get them into. But you probably have seen there was like not a lot of swing and miss, a lot of 2 or 3 ball counts, and that was the problem with the mechanics. And I'd be able to click the 3-1 pitch in the right spot and get a rollover to get out of that inning. And so it started to regress in obviously a bad way. And as I started to have those mechanical feels, get more confident in those mechanics, the locations and everything came along with it.
Michael, obviously there's been a number of additions to this rotation the last couple of weeks, and Casey Mize and Robbie Ray. From your perspective, getting those guys in the building, what does it do for your rotation in this team?
Yeah, I mean, we had that pitching chaos for a while there. So now it's definitely more of a rotation. You bring in Robbie Ray, who's done it for 14 years and been a dog for that long, and I saw him win the Cy Young on Toronto, and ultimate competitor. And Casey's having an incredible year.
All year, and this is going back the last few years, the starting pitching group has always been really tight. I mean, you guys are always watching each other's bullpens and really vocally supporting one another. That's always been the case. Is it nice to get a couple of guys in the building that you can add to that group and you can learn from those guys?
Yeah, absolutely. I joked, forget where we were, but a month ago or something, I was throwing a bullpen, or I was throwing in a game, and you know how we all go out to watch the starter. And my pregame bullpen, Walker was the only one that came out because all the other starters were in the bullpen. So we didn't have a group. You know, it was just me and Walker. And so, yeah, having those guys just to bounce ideas off them in the dugout, just watch Joe and Casey throw a bullpen and just being able to pick their brains on random stuff or hope to help them in any way is all we can ask for.
We're joined by Padres starting pitcher Michael King. Let's talk a little bit more about Joe, because it seems like he is getting closer and closer to returning. You had a chance to see Joe on the mound in 2024. I think you have a pretty good understanding of kind of what he means to this place and this city and what he's accomplished here. What's your level of anticipation for Joe, seeing him go through this rehab process, for him to finally get back on the mound here?
Yeah, we're all very excited. I mean, yeah, Joe's the big game pitcher that every team wants. And to have prime Joe back in this rotation, especially with the additions that we just got, makes it a very scary rotation. So seeing him on TV, watching his rehab games, he looked great. seeing him throw a bullpen today, he looked great. All the stuff is coming out. The velo's there. He's recovering very well. So I'm very excited to have him for the stretch right here.
Finally, and you mentioned it, this is the stretch run, middle of August. There's a lot of jockeying going on as far as playoff positioning. You're trying to make the postseason, obviously, as a team, Michael. As we come down the home stretch, I mean, you can't impact every game, but you can very much impact a handful of them. How do you view your responsibility as you come down the home stretch?
Yeah, I mean, the goal is to win every game. Every time I pitch, I want to give the team a chance to win. Our offense has been clicking, so I know they'll have my back if I do scuffle a little bit, but hopefully there are no more scuffles and we ride off into the sunset. But I think that we're definitely having a lot of fun right now as a unit, and it's showing both offensively, defensively, pitching wise. Bullpen's been incredible all year. So yeah, we're very excited for the last few weeks here and to get into October.
Michael, good insight as always. Good luck with your start in Cleveland, and we'll talk to you again down the road. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
That was Michael King earlier before his start against the Guardians here tonight as Michael tries to get this road trip off on the right foot. Padres enter having won 5 consecutive games in 15 of their past 19 games. Sam Levitt back with you inside our San Diego studios as we continue to get you ready for first pitch coming your way at 4:10. We send things out to Cleveland to Jesse and Tony in just a little bit more than 10 minutes. One note on the Guardians lineup that Michael King will be facing here tonight. No Jose Ramirez, their main superstar, of course, in Cleveland, the all-star third baseman. Ramirez not in the lineup for the Guardians today. Doesn't appear to be injury related, but he has really struggled since coming off the IL. Ramirez just 5 for 28 in the month of August with no extra base hits. In fact, he has no extra base hits in 17 games since returning from the IL. Sort of amazing. He's a great player. No extra base hits in 17 games since returning from the IL. And for whatever reason, Jose Ramirez out of tonight's Guardians lineup. So just one important note from the Cleveland perspective there. First pitch coming up at 4:10. Let's take a look at our keys to today's game.
How will the Padres unlock a win today? These are the keys to the game. Presented by Rock and Block Turf and Hardscapes. Beautiful artificial turf that stays green all year long. Trust and experience. The job isn't done until it's done right. See them at rockandblocklandscape.com.
Key number 1, we just heard from him, the King, Michael King, continuing to rise. Michael King really does seem to be finding his groove. He's gone 2-1 with a 2.93 ERA in 7 starts since July 3rd. King gave up 1 run in 6 strong innings against Houston last week. He's allowed just 1 earned run in 22 2/3 career innings against the Guardians. So he has been very good in his career against Cleveland, both with San Diego and with the Yankees, and he's been finding his groove lately. We'll see if Michael King can put together another good outing tonight against the Guardians. That is key number 1. Key number 2, don't let Martinez mash. I'm talking about Angel Martinez in the Guardians lineup. He's batting .414 with 6 extra base hits, 10 RBIs in a 9-game hitting streak. Key number 3, win against Williams. Right-hander Gavin Williams having a really nice year for Cleveland. He is the ace of this Guardian staff right now. You look at what he's done lately, his last 4 starts, 25 1/3 innings. He's only given up 9 hits and struck out 40, given up 4 total runs in those 4 starts. Took a no decision on Saturday in a loss to the White Sox. He gave up 2 runs in 5 2/3 innings, but he is a really good, tall right-hander. Gavin Williams entering today with a what am I looking at here? His ERA. Lost the note. You know, sometimes you write things down. Somehow they just totally disappear off your page. A 3.55 ERA in 24 starts this season. He's been particularly good at home. A 2.85 ERA in 12 starts in Cleveland. So Gavin Williams, certainly a very tough customer on the mound for the Guardians here tonight. And key number 4, Well, Stephen Kwan of the Guardians having a really nice year. As you know, he's an on-base machine. He was in the midst before yesterday of a career-high 27-game on-base streak. He's reached safely in 38 of his last 41 games. He's hitting .366 in that span with 9 extra base hits. He actually has close to a 900 OPS in that span. Kwan leading off, Martinez batting third. You've got a good young player in Chase DeLauder batting between them, so managing the top 3 hitters in the Guardians lineup certainly should be a big focus today. Kwan, DeLauder, and Martinez. And that is a look at today's keys to the game. And again, my apologies. I mean, I'm talking about a starting pitcher, and then I'm looking for his ERM like I thought I wrote this down. So I had to go and Google and pull up his baseball reference page. What a mess. All right. When we come back, we tell you what to watch for in today's game and then send you out to Cleveland as the Padres take on the Guardians in game 1 of this 3-game series. Our pregame coverage continues after this. Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. We send things out to Jesse and Tony in under 5 minutes. First pitch at 4:10 in Cleveland. Padres looking for a 6th consecutive win. How do they accomplish a win here tonight? Let's tell you what to watch for.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For. Presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovements.com.
So here's the thing about the Cleveland Guardians. They get on base a lot, but they really struggle with runners in scoring position, especially as of late. Since August 1st, Cleveland hitters have been on base 155 times. That is 3rd most in the American League. It's top 7 in Major League Baseball. But during that same stretch, the Guardians have left on 101 base runners, the most in the American League, and tied for the 2nd most in Major League Baseball. This is a team, and it's been a trend really all year. Cleveland averaging an American League leading 7.2 runners left on base per game. That's also the 4th highest mark in the majors. The point I'm making here is when they get guys on, they very often don't get them in to score. Can the Padres, when the Guardians get guys on, can the Padres limit the Guardians from scoring? That has been a big issue for the Guardians all year long. When we come back, we send things out to Jesse and Tony. I'll talk to you on our post-game coverage. You've been listening to our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. Enjoy the game, everybody.